Hello friends, good afternoon and welcome to EduSat Live Lectures. Dear friends, today in zoology, in genetics, we will be talking about genetic recombination in bacteria conjugation. To discuss this topic, we have with us our subject expert, Dr. Varminder Singh Rawat. Dr. Rawat is Assistant Professor in Department of Zoology in Hindu College, University of Delhi. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Sir to our studios and request him to start the lecture. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So today I'll be talking about genetic recombination in bacteria, and I'll be discussing one of the aspects of genetic recombination, which is known as conjugation. Before moving on with the topic, I would like to discuss the term recombination. As the name suggests, recombination is producing a new combination of certain thing, and as the name genetic recombination implies, it is recombining the genetic information in any organism. For eukaryotes, it's a very common practice for the diploid organism which reproduce sexually. It is a very common practice when recombination occurs in the gamete, and when the gamete fuse, they give rise to an individual who is a product, who is a product which is a combination of characters of both parents, like mother and father. But when we talk about bacteria, which are usually haploid organisms and which do not undergo sexual reproduction, how does this recombination how does it take place? How is it brought about in these haploid organisms? So the outline for today's lecture would be, I will be talking about recombination in general and conjugation specifically. Then I will also be talking about chromosomal mapping in the other part of the lecture. And the learning objective for this particular lecture would be that after this lecture, we should be able to tell about the role of conjugation in bringing about genetic recombination in prokaryotic organism, that is bacteria. Now, what exactly is recombination? It is the process by which pieces of DNA are broken and recombined to give rise to new combination. And this is the whole process of recombination in organisms. In eukaryotic cells, the recombination occurs during meiosis when the homologous pairs of maternal and paternal chromosome align. So as I talked earlier, in eukaryotes, which are diploid organisms, diploid eukaryotes, there are designated sexes, there is male and female, and in the gametes of these organisms, meiosis takes place. During meiosis, the homologous chromosomes, they undergo crossing over with exchange of genetic material between them. And when these recombined chromosomes, they fuse together to give rise to an embryo, which further gives rise to a new individual, we get an individual who has the recombined genes. The crossing over is basically exchange of genetic material between the homologous chromosomes, and it leads to exchange of genetic material. Now, as I said earlier, the offspring will be having a different combination of genes as compared to their parents because of the process of recombination. If all the genes, if all the chromosomes were passed as such, then there would not be generation of any variety or diversity in the progeny, and all the individuals would continue as a mixture of the genetic combination of the father and mother. But because of the process of meiosis, which occurs in spermatozoa and oogonia, the individuals which are born after the fertilization, they have a new combination of genes, which leads to production of a variety of individuals, which leads to a variation in the organism. Now, this recombination creates genetic diversity at the level of genes, and this reflects in the DNA sequence of the organism, and it might also reflect in the phenotype of the organism. It is not necessary that all the recombination which is brought about in the DNA sequence, it leads to change in the phenotype, but many such recombination events lead to change in the phenotype of the new individual which is brought after sexual reproduction. Now, what about prokaryotes? Prokaryotes, they do not reproduce sexually. These are asexual organisms, and recombination also occurs in them. So how is this recombination brought about in prokaryotes? This process has been well characterized in E. coli, and later on it was found in other organisms also, other prokaryotic organisms. But first of all, it was characterized in the common laboratory model organism, that is Escherichia coli. Now, there are three mechanisms which have been characterized which bring about genetic recombination in prokaryotes in E. coli. Namely, these are conjugation, wherein two bacterial cells will fuse together, and there will be transfer of genetic information from one cell to another, leading to exchange of genetic information and production of a recombinant bacteria. Second is transformation. In this particular process, there is uptake of naked DNA by a bacterial cell, and after this uptake, this particular information is embedded into the chromosome of the cell and of the bacterial cell, and if this information persists from one generation to next generation, we get a bacteria which is genetically recombinant. And third method is transduction, which is basically a process of genetic recombination which is brought about by bacteriophages, which are viruses which infect the bacterial cells. So today I will be discussing about the first process which requires presence of two bacterial cells of different strains for bringing about recombination in one of the cell. Now, what is conjugation? Conjugation is primarily a process which promotes DNA transfer from a donor cell to a recipient cell, and this is mediated by physical contact. So, conjugation, whenever it occurs between the two bacterial cells, a physical contact is essential. If there is no physical contact, conjugation cannot occur. This particular process occurs in both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria as well as Streptomycetes. So, it is a common phenomenon occurring in both types of bacteria and Streptomycetes, wherein the organisms come in physical contact and exchange genetic information. It is more of, it's not an exchange basically, it is a transfer from a donor to a recipient organism. There is no reciprocal exchange of information in this particular process of genetic recombination. Now, the ability to initiate conjugation is conferred on the organism by the presence of an infectious DNA element which disseminates to other cells. So, the basic requirement is that there is a presence of an element which can be transferred from one organism to another cell. If this particular element is not present, if this particular factor is not present, then there won't be any conjugation taking place. Now, usually genes encoding conjugative transfer functions are associated with extra chromosomal replicon, which are termed as self-transmissible or conjugative plasmid. Now, usually what happens is that the genes which are responsible for bringing about conjugation and transfer of genetic material from one cell to another cell, they are usually present on extra chromosomal DNA, which is also known as plasmid. So, the plasmids are responsible for bringing about conjugation amongst two organisms of a same species, but belonging to different strains. Now, in addition to self transfer, the transfer system of conjugative plasmids often facilitate the independent transfer of non-conjugative mobilizable plasmids that are co-resident in donor cells. Now, these factors which have genes for bringing about conjugation and which bring about their own transfer from one cell to another cell, they also play a role, they also facilitate transfer of other such elements which are present in the cell, but which do not have the genes for bringing about the transfer from one cell to another. So, apart from bringing about their own transfer from one cell to another, these particular elements also help in carrying other type of plasmids from one type of cell to another type of cell, which belong to the same species but different strains. Now, DNA sequences that become co-integrate with the conjugative plasmid can also be transferred. Thus, integration and other recombinational rearrangements can result in transmission of sequences from bacterial chromosomes of transposons and of non-mobilizable plasmids. Now, these particular plasmids, they have the ability to get integrated into the bacterial chromosome or into other plasmids. Now, because of this particular characteristic, whenever these plasmids which are transferable, when they move from one cell to another cell, they might also carry a part of the bacterial chromosome or other non-transferable plasmid which is present in that particular cell. So, basically the plasmid, it can occur as a free body or it can get integrated into the bacterial chromosome or other plasmid. But whenever it brings about its own movement from the cell of one strain to another strain, it will also bring about movement of a part of the chromosome of the bacterial cell or a part of the plasmid which are non-transferable. As a means of genetic exchange among individual cells and population, both within and between bacterial species, conjugation is an important phenomenon bringing about evolution of the bacterial species. Now, this particular mode of genetic recombination and genetic exchange is a very important mode of evolution which occurs between strains of the same species, different populations of the same species, because of this process certain genes are transferred from one type of strain to another type of strain. And recently it has been said that this particular method of genetic recombination can also occur between individuals of different species, and it has also been said that it can also occur between individuals of different kingdom, like from prokaryotes to eukaryotes also. Now, how it was deciphered that conjugation does occur in bacteria, that was decades earlier. In the 50s, in the 1950s, when some scientists were working on E. coli, they deciphered that conjugation is a mode of recombination in bacteria. So, in 1946, Joshua Lederberg and Edward Tatum, while they were working on E. coli, they established occurrence of this particular phenomenon, which is known as conjugation. Now, they were working with two different strains of E. coli, which had different nutritional requirements. Now, the bacteria can be classified as auxotrophs or prototrophs. Prototrophs are those bacteria which can survive on a minimal cell culture medium. That means they have all the wild type genes essential for synthesizing all the nutrients required for their growth. But there are auxotrophs, which are individuals which might be deficient, which might be having mutated alleles at specific loci, so that they are not able to synthesize specific nutrients. So, an organism can be auxotroph if it has one mutation for a gene which is required in a metabolic pathway for synthesizing a particular nutrient, or it might be prototrophic, that means it is having all the wild types alleles. So, these two scientists, they were working on E. coli strains which were deficient in different types of genes. So, strain A is the one which required supplement of methionine and biotin in the minimal media. Strain A of E. coli, it could not grow in a minimal media, it was auxotrophic with respect to methionine and biotin gene. It had methionine and biotin mutant alleles, so that it could not synthesize methionine and biotin. And unless methionine and biotin was supplied from outside, that means it was supplemented in the media, these bacteria could not grow, divide and form colonies. Another strain was strain B, which required presence of threonine, leucine and thymine in the minimal media for its proper growth. That means it was auxotrophic for threonine, leucine and thymine, because it had the mutant alleles for the gene which are required for synthesis of these particular amino acids. Now, an interesting experiment was done. It was found that when cells from A and B strain were mixed and grown together in a medium which contained all the supplements, and after this, when the cells were plated on agar containing minimal media, then some cells were recovered which could grow in the minimal media and did not require addition of extra nutrients. Now, A and B strain could not grow if they were not supplied with the supplements as per their requirement. But it was seen that if they were mixed together and they were kept together for some time, in a media which contained the supplements which were required for these bacteria to grow. And after that, the medium was taken and it was plated on the culture plate. It was found that some cells were there which could grow and which could divide on the minimal media plates minimal media plates, and they could form colonies. Now, how did this come about? How was this happening? Because we already know that strain A required certain amino acids and strain B required certain amino acids. Just by mixing, how was it possible that they were able to isolate cells which could grow on minimal media without any supplement? Now, the frequency of occurrence of these colonies was very low. It was about one colony was formed for about every 10⁻⁷ cells. Though the frequency was low, but it was a significant phenomenon because now they were having cells which could grow in minimal media. Now, this could only happen if the cells were able to have genes which were no more mutant. That means a cell is formed which is not mutant for any of the allele which earlier it was possessing. So, either the cells were having wild type for methionine, biotin, leucine, threonine and thiamine. They had developed these mutations which led to wild type of genes for methionine, biotin, leucine, threonine and thiamine, and that's why they were able to grow, and then only they could divide in the minimal media plate. So, this was the particular experiment that the strain A cells which were deficient for certain genes like methionine and biotin, and strain B which were deficient for threonine, leucine and thiamine genes, they could not grow in the minimal media, but when they were kept together and they were plated at a frequency using 10⁸ cells, there could be found colony. Now, how did this happen? How did His negative and Met negative cells acquire the His positive and Met positive gene? How was this happening? How were auxotrophic strains getting converted to the prototrophic strain? And also, how was this happening that leucine minus threonine negative and thiamine negative cells, they were acquiring the leucine positive, threonine positive and thiamine positive alleles and turning into prototrophic cells which could develop into colonies. Now, the question arose that were mutations leading to the change of this particular type? That means the cells were getting restored to the wild type because of mutations in the alleles, which was leading to formation of wild type of alleles for methionine, histidine, leucine, threonine and thiamine. But if that was the case, then how come the plates which were only having the strain A or only having the strain B, they were not developing into prototrophic colonies? This was a very normal question to be asked, that if mutations were responsible for bringing about formation of prototrophic colonies when strain A and strain B were mixed, then why it was not happening in the case when strain A was getting plated? Why mutation was not occurring in strain A and strain B individually? Or was some substance getting leaked out from the bacterial cells into the culture medium which was allowing growth of these colonies? So, these were the two possible questions which were getting asked, whether mutation was causing the formation of prototrophic colonies or whether some substance was getting leaked into the medium and the prototrophic colonies were getting formed. Now, in the meantime, there was a scientist, Bernard Davis, who devised a U-tube. It was basically a glass tube and it had two arms which were separated by filters, whose pores were too small for bacteria to pass through, but they were large enough for media to pass. Now, this particular arrangement was very sophisticated for carrying out this particular experiment, because it had two arms which had two different types of strains which were grown in the common minimal media, and the bacterial cells from one arm could not pass to the other arm. However, the media was free to circulate from one part to another part. If some soluble substance was responsible for forming of prototrophic colonies, then if this arrangement was done, then they should recover prototrophic colonies from both the arm 1 and arm 2 where strain A and strain B were growing. So, in this particular experiment, in one arm strain A was incubated while in the other strain B was incubated, and after some time Davis checked the contents of both the arms to find out whether there were any cells which could be grown in the minimal media, that is any prototrophic cell had formed. But he found out that there was no prototroph which could be recovered from either of the arm of the U tube. Thus, this particular experiment established that physical contact between the two strains was necessary for recombination to take place. Unless there is physical contact, there cannot be any recombination occurring between the two strains. This is the particular figure or particular diagrammatic representation of U tube of Davis, which had two arms. One arm had strain A growing in it, and the other arm had strain B growing in it, and they were separated by a filter. And there was a suction pump which helped in sucking the medium so that it could pass freely from one arm to another. So this established that there is no substance which is getting leaked from the bacterial cell into the medium. Only physical contact is necessary for this particular process of recombination to take place. Now, this experiment suggested that the gene transfer was taking place, but it required physical contact, and this particular gene transfer was bringing about genetic recombination in the bacteria. In the year 1953, another scientist, William Hayes, suggested that gene transfer only occurs in one direction in these particular crosses or these particular type of experiment. This particular transfer of genes was compared to sexual reproduction which occurs in eukaryote. However, unlike sexual reproduction where two individuals contribute equally to the formation of new individual, in bacterial conjugation one of the individual is transferring genetic information to the other individual. So, it is not a two-way process, it is a one-way process wherein a donor is transferring or donating a part of its genetic information to the recipient organism. Now, the genotype of the recipient organism change, but the genotype of the donor organism does not change at all. Only the genotype of recipient is changing, and there might be associated phenotypic changes as well if genetic recombination does occur. There is transfer of genetic information, but unless there is recombination, there won't be any change in the progeny, genotypic change as well as phenotypic change. So, for the genotypic and phenotypic changes to occur, there has to be recombination between the recipient chromosome and the piece of DNA which is getting transferred from the donor to the recipient. Now, Hayes also discovered a variant of the donor strain which upon crossing with the recipient was unable to produce recombinant. Now, there were strains which were able to bring about recombination, but the work of scientist Hayes, it suggested that there is one strain which when crossed with the recipient there won't be any production of new recombinants, because the donors had lost their ability for genetic information to be transferred, and they themselves had changed into the recipient strain. Earlier they were able to transfer information to the recipient strain, but when he grew these cells for a sufficient time, he was able to isolate cells which were no more able to donate the genetic information, and they themselves were acting as recipients. Now, he thus realized that the ability of E. coli to donate information could be lost and regained as well. Now, he suggested that ability of donating the genetic information is a hereditary state which is produced by presence of a factor known as fertility factor. Strains that carry fertility factor, they alone can donate genetic information, and they are designated as F+ strains. Whereas strains which do not carry this fertility factor, they are denoted as F-, and they cannot donate genetic information, they can only receive genetic information from the F+ strains. Now, Cavalli et al. Is another scientist whose work is significant. He established in the 1953 that the factor which Hayes was talking about, F factor, it was indeed a plasmid, and he did this work in E. coli strain K12. Now this particular F plasmid has length about 100 kilobases, and it can replicate independently in the cytoplasm as well as it can replicate when integrated in the host chromosome. Such type of plasmids are known as episome. So this particular type of plasmid, that is F plasmid, is an episome which can replicate independently or when integrated in the chromosome. So this is the figure for the F plasmid. It has various regions. It is about 100 kb in size. It has leading region which is transferred first of all to the recipient bacteria. It is ORET region, which is the site from where the transfer begins, and it has also got transposon inserted into it like TN1000, IS3, IS2, and it has other regions like Rep FIA, Rep FIB, and Rep FIC. The fDNA sequences located between the origin of conjugal transfer, that is ORET and Rep FIA, are the first to enter the recipient cell during conjugation and have therefore been designated the leading region. These are thought to assist in establishing the fDNA in the recipient. The Rep FIA region is believed to be primarily responsible for replication properties of F and contains both unidirectional and bidirectional replication origin. And there are also secondary replication regions like Rep FIB and Rep FIC. Now the F sequence also includes copy of TN1000 and IS2 and 2 copies of IS3, which are again transposons, and these are very important because they are responsible for the constitutively high levels of conjugative transfer which is exhibited by F. And these elements also mediate the F chromosomal, the integration of the F plasmid into the chromosome, which leads to formation of HFR donor cells, about which I will be talking about later, and also responsible for imprecise excision, which can bring about formation of F prime plasmid cells, about which I will be talking on later. Now there is ORET site which extends to the hind 3 restriction cleavage site in IS3 transposon, and it is the transfer or TRA region which encodes all the other loci which are known to be required for effective transfer of genetic information, and this particular region is about 33.3 kb long. The sequence for this particular region can be found in GenBank with the GenBank accession number U01159. This locus includes the pilin genes and regulatory genes which are required for formation of pilus on the surface of the cell. Now the production of a pilus is associated with capacity of F and F-like plasmid donors to conjugate efficiently. If there is no pilus formation, there won't be any conjugation. Now 1 to 3 F pili are usually extended from the surface of a donor cell. These pilus are made up of protein known as F pilin, which arranges helically to form a cylindrical structure which is about 8 nanometer in diameter. Now this particular figure shows the formation of pilus between a donor cell and a recipient cell. F plus cell is a donor cell, and it forms a pilus which goes and binds to the F minus cells, and this tube is required for transfer of genetic information. F pili is also required by the bacteriophages for attaching to the bacteria. Now there are other genes like TRA-A, TRA-Q and TRA-X which are distinctly required for transformation for carrying out this information transfer and in formation of F pilin subunits. F plasmid has its own origin of replication OREV and an origin of transfer, that is ORET. And ORET region contains the site at which the single strand of DNA to be transferred is nicked and from which this strand is unwound and transported into the recipient organism. The TRA1 gene encodes a 1756A polypeptide, and it is responsible for bringing about the carrying out of the DNA from one organism to another organism. A number of environmental factors are required for bringing about this conjugation, which are basically temperature and other expression of other important genes in the organism. Now the contact between F plus donor and F minus is initiated by interaction between the tip of an F pilus and the recipient cell surface, and these donors and recipient then they become stabilized, and then the transfer of the DNA takes place from the donor cell to the recipient cell. During conjugation, Traven enzyme creates a nick in one of the strands which relaxes the attachment, and 5' end of this particular strand is then transferred to the recipient cell. The remaining strand in the donor is replicated by the rolling circle replication, whereas the complementary strand in the recipient cell is also formed by the replication machinery of the recipient organism. After this particular transfer, both the cells become F positive. That means after the transfer, the cell which was earlier recipient, it also becomes donor type of cells because it has a full copy of F plasmid. So this is basically the rolling circle replication, wherein the host organism is undergoing replication of its DNA, whereas the recipient organism also replicates the DNA which entered the recipient organism. There are other plasmid also which also follow this type of route, like R plasmid, which are very essential for transferring of plasmid which carry resistance factors in them, and this is leading to evolution of bacteria which are resistant to a large number of antibiotics. So this is how conjugation process is brought about in prokaryotes. Thank you. I will be talking about genetic recombination in bacteria, how conjugation brings about genetic recombination in bacteria. Now, recombination is a process which is normally associated with sexually reproducing diploid eukaryotes, but this particular phenomenon is also very prevalent in prokaryotes, which though are not sexually reproducing organisms, they also bring about genetic recombination in them, and this brings about variations in different strains or different populations of a given species and amongst various species also. So the outline for the today's lecture, I will be discussing in detail about recombination in bacteria, that is high frequency recombination, how recombination is brought about in certain types of strains at a very high frequency, and also a very important aspect which comes from this particular type of recombination, that is mapping of genes in the chromosome of the bacteria. So after this lecture, we should be able to tell about the role of HFR cells in recombination in different strains of bacterial species, and also about the procedure of mapping different genes in the chromosome of bacteria. Now, to give a brief summary, the prelogue for this particular lecture, Joshua Lederberg and Edward Tatum, they established the occurrence of conjugation in E. coli. In the 50s, it was established that phenomenon of conjugation does occur in bacteria, and this phenomenon was responsible for bringing about genetic recombination in bacteria which were of two different strains. That means they were having different mutations in them, but because of this particular phenomenon, they were getting converted into a type which was different from the parental type. The parental types were auxotrophic types, but because of recombination, the progeny type which was getting formed, one of the progeny type was prototrophic in phenotype as well as genotype. Now, Hayes was another scientist who suggested that the ability of donating the genetic information is a hereditary state which is produced by presence of a factor known as fertility factor. This fertility factor was later on found to be a plasmid known as F plasmid in E. coli strain K12, and this particular discovery was done by Cavalli et al. In the year 1953. Now, how did the transfer of plasmid bring about recombination of genes present in the bacterial chromosome? Now, this was a very important question, that if the conjugation is brought about by a plasmid known as F plasmid, because it has the ability, it has the genes, TRA genes, which are able to synthesize a pilus, a tube which is known as pilus, F pilus, which is again made up of protein known as F pilin. Now, it is able to synthesize a tube, it can contact with the bacteria of F minus strain, and it is also able to transfer from its original site, that is the donor cell, to the recipient cell. But only F plasmid is getting transferred. How is recombination getting brought about? How is a cell which was auxotroph is getting converted to prototroph? Because these particular auxotrophic alleles, they are residing on the chromosome. Now, only F plasmid is getting transferred from the donor cell to the recipient cell. There is no transfer of chromosomal genes from the donor cell to the recipient cell. Still, the recipient cell is now having bile type of genes, and it is getting converted to prototrophic cells. So, how is this brought about when there is only transfer of F plasmid? So, this was a very important question which was asked. Now, this as we already know that this particular plasmid, that is F plasmid, it can occur independently either in the bacterial cell, it can divide itself, it can initiate conjugation, or it can also occur in an integrated state in the bacterial chromosome. So, this point is very important aspect of this particular method of recombination. Now, Luca Cavalli Forza discovered a new type of F plus strain. Earlier, the F plus strain which were used for experiment, they were only able to carry out the recombination at a very low frequency. So, this particular scientist, he discovered a new type of strain. When this particular strain was crossed with F minus strain, about 1000 times more recombinants for genetic markers were produced as compared to a normal F plus strain. Earlier we had seen that when the strain A and strain B were mixed in the experiment of Lederberg and Tatum, the frequency of formation of recombinant was 1 in 10 to the power 7 cells. But this particular experiment of Cavalli, it was seen that the frequency increased about 1000 times as compared to the normal conjugation experiment. Now, because the frequency was increasing to a significant extent, this particular strain was termed as HFR. H stands for high, F stands for frequency, and R stands for recombination. So, this particular strain is high frequency recombination strain, and it is able to carry out recombination at a very high degree as compared to the normal F plus strain. Another important aspect for this particular experiment was that in the crosses between HFR and F minus strain, none of the F minus parents were converted into F plus or into HFR. Earlier we had seen in the discussion of conjugation how F plasmid is getting transferred from one bacteria to another bacteria, and how during this transfer the F plus strain is getting converted into, F minus strain is getting converted into F plus strain, because complete F plasmid was getting transferred from the donor bacterial cell to the recipient bacterial cell. So, earlier the cell which was F minus, that is the cell which was not having F plasmid, because of conjugation and after conjugation, the complete F plasmid was getting transferred from donor cell to the recipient cell. Now, it was also having one F plasmid, one copy of F plasmid. So, it becomes F plus strain, because it also has copy of F plasmid. But in this particular experiment between HFR and F minus strain, it was found that after conjugation, even after transfer of certain genetic markers, the F minus strain did not convert into the F plus strain, and it also did not convert into HFR strain. It stayed as F minus strain. So, this was strange compared to the earlier results where F minus was getting converted into F plus strain. So, this is in complete contrast to earlier studies between F plus and F minus crosses, where transfer of F results in a large proportion of the F minus parents getting converted into F plus strains. Now, why does this occur? Why is this happening? Why is this particular abnormality or anomaly occurring in this particular experiment? It is because of incorporation of the F plasmid into the chromosome of the donor. This particular figure shows how it happens. Now, there is the bacterial chromosome, and into it is inserted the F plasmid, and this F plasmid, when it initiates the movement of the DNA from the donor to the recipient, it causes delivery of some of the genes of the F plasmid and some of the genes of the host chromosome, but the complete F plasmid does not get transferred from the donor cell to the recipient cell, because there is a specific origin of transfer, and from that origin of transfer onward there is a linear transfer of genes, so that initial genes of the F plasmid can get transferred. After that the genes of the host chromosome will get transferred, but by the time the complete chromosome gets transferred along with the remaining genes of the F plasmid, the cells which are undergoing conjugation, they will separate, because conjugation is a process which requires physical contact between the bacteria. As soon as the contact is broken, there won't be any transfer taking place between these two bacteria, and these two organisms of F plus strain and F minus HFR strain and F minus strain, they do not keep the physical contact for infinite time. They only stay together for a specific time, for a very brief period, during which only a limited number of genes can get transferred from the donor to the recipient. So, this comes about that only few genes of the F plasmid can get transferred from the donor to the recipient along with few genes of the chromosome. So, the recipient does not have the complete set of genes of the F plasmid, and that is why it will stay as F minus strain, because for F minus strain to get converted into F plus strain, it should have the complete set of genes of the F plasmid. So, this is how it occurs, and this occurs because there is integration of the F chromosome into the F plasmid into the chromosome of the host, and this integration occurs as at specific site. This recombination is brought about by specific site present on both the chromosome of the bacteria as well as the plasmid of the F plasmid of the bacteria. And as I talked about earlier, it is brought about by the transposon sites present in the F plasmid as well as in the host chromosome. So, this is how it occurs. This particular figure shows the F plasmid, which is brownish in color, which is again a DNA molecule which has the ability to replicate independently of the host chromosome. This gets integrated by the process of recombination into the host chromosome, and in this particular state the host is termed as HFR, high frequency recombinant strain. This is the representation how this particular F factor gets integrated into the E. coli chromosome. Now, it can be seen that there are homologous regions in both the DNAs, the DNA of the plasmid, F plasmid, and the DNA of the host chromosome, wherein there can be recombination, that is, insertion of the plasmid can occur in this particular chromosome. So, there are specific sites where this insertion can occur. There is a red arrow represented in this particular figure. In the plasmid, it is denoted by O. O is the origin of transfer, from where transfer of this particular plasmid will initiate. After the plasmid has got integrated into the chromosome of the E. coli, it can be seen that it is inserted between A and B genes. Earlier, A and B gene were in continuity with each other, but after insertion of this particular plasmid, A and B gene got separated by a stretch of nucleotide which pertains or which corresponds to the nucleotide sequence of the F plasmid. Still, the O region stays there, that is the dark arrow, red arrow region stays there, that is the origin of transfer. And whenever there will be transfer of DNA from this particular HFR strain into the recipient strain, the transfer will initiate at this particular red dark arrow. And the region that is denoted as 2 will be transferred first. After that, gene A will be transferred, followed by D, C, B, and the last of the genes which would be transferred would be 1, and the remaining region of the F plasmid. So the lower panel shows the linear arrangement of these particular genes, which are originally present as circular DNA. It is seen that the region 2 will be transferred first, followed by A, D, C, B, and 1 region. Now, in laboratory strains, it takes about 100 minutes for transfer of the entire E. coli chromosome from the donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. As I talked earlier, that conjugation does not proceed infinitely. It is a limited process, time limited process. But in laboratory strains, if conditions are thus created, it is seen that about 100 minutes are required for the entire E. coli chromosome to get transferred from the donor bacteria to the recipient bacteria. However, conjugation rarely lasts so long. During conjugation between the HFR cell and F minus cell, a part of the chromosome is transferred with a part of F. Because the conjugation is limited in time, it might carry on for 20 minutes, it might get carried on for 30 minutes, but it will never last for 100 minutes naturally. And if that happens, the entire chromosome can never get transferred. Only a specific set of genes of the F plasmid and a specific set of genes which are lying in conjunction with that particular F plasmid will get transferred from the donor to the recipient. Now, the random breakage of the association, that is random breakage of the F pilus association between the donor and the recipient, will interrupt the transfer between the donor and the recipient, and it will cause the breakage of the or a disruption of the transfer of the entire chromosome from the donor to the recipient, and that is why F minus cells will never get converted to F plus cells. Now, the chromosomal fragment which is received by the donor, it can then recombine with the recipient chromosome at specific site, leading to production of recombinant bacteria. Now, this particular panel shows how it occurs, how recombination takes place. Now, in the left panel there are bacteria wherein the F plasmid is occurring in a free form. That means it is independent form. This F plasmid is an independent plasmid which can multiply on its own and which can initiate conjugation on its own without the help of the chromosome of the organism. However, because it is an episome, it can also get integrated into the chromosome of the host, in which particular condition it is termed as HFR bacteria. Now, in the right panel is a strain which is F minus strain, because it only has the host chromosome, it does not have the F plasmid. So, conjugation can occur between the HFR strain and the F minus strain, and this occurs by formation of a conjugation tube between the HFR strain and the F minus strain. This conjugation tube is the physical contact through which the DNA will be getting transferred from the donor to the recipient. Now, from the origin of transfer, a nick will be created in the F plasmid, which is integrated into the bacterial chromosome. After the nick is created, the single strand starts getting transferred through the conjugation tube into the F minus strain organism. Now, this particular transfer is a slow process, and it requires a long time for getting completed for the entire chromosome to get transferred. In this particular panel, it is shown that for the period of time, the two organisms which were in physical contact with each other, that means for the time which they were conjugating, only gene 1 and 2 of the host chromosome could get transferred. While there were a number of other genes present in the chromosome, only a part of the F plasmid, which is represented by the orange fragment, and 1 and 2 gene which is present on the chromosome of the host, they are getting transferred into the recipient cell. The genes 3 and 4 stay as such, and the other half of the genes of F plasmid is also not getting transferred. However, because of the rolling circle replication, the entire DNA gets replicated in the donor organism, and a complete copy of the host chromosome, which is carrying the integrated F plasmid, it gets formed. So there is no deficiency of genes on the host chromosome. Whereas in the recipient, because a single strand was getting transferred, it is essential that the replication machinery of the recipient comes into action and form a second strand for this particular DNA strand. So a double stranded DNA molecule is formed. Now if this strand stays as such for some time, it might be able to synthesize certain protein which might bring about phenotypic change in this particular generation of the bacteria. But after this particular bacteria divides, only one of the bacteria will be receiving this particular fragment, and only that particular bacteria will be able to synthesize specific protein, and a specific phenotype associated with those particular protein will develop in only that cell, and this will keep on occurring for some generation. However, for recombination to be established permanently in that particular line of the organism, this particular fragment has to get incorporated into the host chromosome. Now because this particular host chromosome is also from the same species, it also has the same genes. There might be different alleles, but it also has the same genes like those of the host chromosome of the recipient. So specific regions, they undergo recombination as shown in the last panel of this particular figure. There is recombination occurring between the recipient host chromosome and the chromosome which is and a part of the chromosome which is coming from the donor. So the DNA fragment which is coming from the donor, that gets inserted into the host chromosome, whereas the related part of the host chromosome, that gets excised out and that gets degraded. Now this particular organism, this is known as a recombinant organism because it has a new combination of alleles which were derived from the donor organism, and which was mediated by the transfer of which was mediated by F plasmid. Now in 1957, Elie Wollman and Francois Jacob, they investigated the pattern of transmission of HFR genes to F- cells during a cross. They crossed HFR and F strains. The HFR strains they were threonine positive, leucine positive, that is sodium azide resistant, and TON R, that means they were resistant to infection by bacteriophage T2. Then they were LAC positive, that means they could metabolize lactose. GAL positive, they could metabolize galactose, and STRS, that is they were sensitive to streptomycin. And the recipient or F- strain, they were threonine negative, leucine negative, AZS, that is sensitive to sodium azide, sensitive to infection by bacteriophage T2. LAC, they could not metabolize lactose and galactose, and they were resistant to streptomycin. Now the F- strain carries the genes for streptomycin resistance and a number of other genes, as I have already told. Now what occurs is that two strains were mixed in a nutrient medium and they were incubated at 37 degrees to allow conjugation to start. The first genes to be transferred are those of the F factor, as I have already discussed. The bacterial genes close to the site of the plasmid insertion can also be sequentially transferred to the recipient cell if the conjugation process lasts long enough. At specific time of this particular mating or conjugation, the samples were removed and each sample was put in a kitchen blender for a few seconds to disrupt the mating cell pairs, and these samples were then plated onto a medium containing streptomycin, so that the HFR donor cells which were sensitive to streptomycin, they were killed. Only those cells which are streptomycin resistant, they would be surviving. Now this particular process is known as interrupted mating. The streptomycin resistant cells were then tested for presence of marker alleles from the donor. Streptomycin resistant cells bearing donor markers alleles must have taken part in conjugation because then only they can derive these particular combination of alleles, and both these are known as X conjugate cells. The longer the genetic transfer was allowed to take place, the more genes were transferred. The genes that are passed to the recipient cell become incorporated into the bacterial chromosome by two crossover events. The resulting recombinants are partially diploid for the genes that were transferred from the donor cell and haploid for other genes before the recombination takes place. Now, from the results of the order of transfer, the order could be determined. The first gene to be transferred was the one for sodium azide resistance, which appeared at about 8 minutes. The second gene to be transferred was TON-R, which appeared at about 10 minutes. At about 17 minutes, LAC plus gene was transferred, followed by GAL plus at approximately 25 minutes. This particular panel shows how the genes are getting transferred and how after different time intervals a larger fragment of DNA get transferred from donor to recipient. Now, this particular graph shows that AZ gene was the first to get transferred. The transfer started at about 10 minutes and it reached plateau at about 20 minutes. That means at about 20 minutes all the bacteria would be having their AZ gene. The later the gene enters the recipient cell, the smaller is the maximum frequency of recombinants for that particular gene, and the time interval between the appearance of each gene is used to determine the distance between them, and the distance is measured in minutes. And gene transfer always occurs in a linear fashion, and the genes that are far from origin tend not to be transferred to recipient cell because of the higher probability that mating pair will break apart before the transfer can take place. So, F minus cells rarely receive the entire F factor and they always stay F minus and never become F plus. This particular figure shows how the F factor can get integrated into the host chromosome at different sites, and because of this integration at different sites, the order of genes will vary, the order of transfer of genes will vary in different HFR strains. Like this particular panel shows incorporation of the F plasmid into different sites of the chromosome, and because of this incorporation, the transfer is varying from one strain to another strain. But when we take the sum total of the data from all of these transfer, we can make up a map of a genetic order of the different genes in this particular strain of the bacteria. The orientation in which F is inserted would determine the polarity of the chromosome, and Wallman and Jacob suggested that some kind of crossover event does occur between the F and F minus and F plus chromosome, which generate the HFR chromosome. So, the gene order could be established and gene distance could be established because of these particular experiments, and these particular experiments had a huge impact in genetics as it allowed to construct a complete genetic map of the bacteria E. coli, and this was the starting point for determination of genomes of the higher organisms. Now, the frequency of inheritance corresponds to the order of the transfer, and this is because it is indicative of the frequency of transfer. For recombination to occur in the recipient bacteria, a protein known as REC-K is required. Also is required another complex protein known as REC-BCT, without which recombination cannot be brought about. And if only a single crossover occurs, then a non-viable linear chromosome is formed which cannot be sustained. But if double crossover occurs, then it leads to insertion of donor DNA fragment into the recipient chromosome, and a viable DNA fragment, wild DNA, circular DNA molecule is formed, and a non-viable linear DNA fragment is excised out. Sometimes due to defective excision from the chromosome, F factor picks up a region of the bacterial chromosome, and this F factor carrying a portion of the host chromosome is called F prime. An F prime strain will transfer the portion of the host chromosome which it carries at a high frequency. So, whenever there is conjugation between the F prime and F minus, there will be transfer of the F plasmid along with the genes which it is carrying from the host chromosome because of a faulty excision. Now, this particular F plasmid which was in the host chromosome, it got excised, it comes into its natural state of an independent molecule. But because of faulty excision, now it is also carrying with itself certain genes of the host chromosome, and whenever there is conjugation between the F prime and F minus strain, this particular F plasmid will be transferred, and it will lead to formation of a partially diploid condition, because there will be host chromosome with all its gene and a F plasmid which is carrying some of the genes of the host chromosome, some of the genes of the bacteria, and this particular partially diploid condition is known as merozygotic condition. So this is how conjugation is brought about in bacteria. Thank you.
On that note, I would like to thank sir for this very enriching discussion, and thank you dear friends for watching our show. Stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you.